Hey there, welcome to AutumnAfar. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome back to those of you who have joined me before. As always, any of the links used in my research are going to be linked in the description box below, and I encourage you to do your own research and form your own opinions. Today's video is going to be about where to buy your gear and to assess what you need for a trip. Before any adventure can begin, you need to pack your things, and in order to pack your things, you need gear. But where do you get it? And what do you even need? This is how I go about buying my gear and assessing what I need for a trip. So the first thing is, what do you already have? The first thing I always do before I go purchasing anything new is I assess what I already own, and at times what I can borrow if needed. For what I already have, I take into consideration its age, its condition, and if it needs to be repaired. I look at how I found traveling with it previously. If it was relatively easy, I'll be more likely to continue using it in the future. At the moment, I already have a pretty decent backpack. However, it is starting to age a little bit since it's almost 10 years old, and it does have a couple tears that unfortunately I can't fix because they're in the inseam, and it's the fabric that's starting to deteriorate, and it's not something unfortunately that I'm able to fix because of the nature of the fabric, where it's just unraveling and there's no way I could sew that up. I also already have a rain cover and travel bag to go with it, so that I know that I'm covered in case it starts raining, or if I need to pack the bag in the travel duffel for when I get on planes or on any other kind of transportation that does not allow you to travel with backpacks openly like mine is. I also already have a travel pillow and blanket, as well as a travel towel and different water bottles that work great and don't need to be replaced. The next thing to look into is, what do you need? One thing I absolutely hate is when my devices die, especially in the middle of the day when I still really need them, especially if I'm using them to navigate around or to pay for things. Devices like my phone often hold reservations and tickets and directions to where I need to go. So one thing that I am looking into getting is a good quality external charger. There are a ton of options and companies to look at. I've been looking for around a year and a half. Right now I'm looking for one that is potentially solar powered, that I could leave out or on my backpack, but I'm still weighing the options and making do with what I currently have. The next one is, what can you go without? I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I absolutely hate packing cubes. I know everybody swears by them. I know a ton of people use them and promote them. I cannot stand packing cubes. They don't help my packing. I find they make my life a lot more difficult, so I just don't use them. I also don't bring bags to put dirty laundry in. I simply organize my pack with clean and dirty laundry side, though I do still have a bag for if something is soaking wet so that I can put it in the bag without worrying that it'll get everything else in the bag wet, because that is absolutely disgusting. If you've ever had it happen to you, would not recommend. To give some insight, a few of the things that people need generally when they're traveling in almost all cases are bags, so both your luggage and your day pack if you are traveling with more than one bag, clothing, so t-shirts, pants, outerwear, swimwear, formal wear if you're going anywhere fancy, towels, camera gear, shoes, and toiletries are pretty much the main things. Everything else is specific to a destination or to your needs. So that brings me to, where do I shop for my gear? So some of these are going to be very specific to my region because not all of them are available everywhere. There might even be a few that are exclusive to Quebec. So if you don't have any, I would suggest trying to see if there are any similar places near you and using what you have available at your disposal. One of the first places that I ever went searching for travel gear was MEC, Mountain Equipment Co-op. Is probably one of the best known brands, at least in Canada. They have pretty much everything you could look for, and even a few things that you didn't know existed. I would really highly recommend going in to look at gear specifically for women with backpacks, because they have different kinds of backpacks that will rotate at the hip, or that are specifically made for women that have different specifications that make it a little bit easier for us to use the backpacks. I would also recommend it because you can actually see what the backpack looks like inside, because a lot of people say, oh yeah, I need like a 60-liter backpack, but when they see a 60-liter backpack they realize it's way too big for their needs, or they realize that it's not something that they want to be carrying around constantly from place to place. The last time I went, they were kind enough to let me not only try on a backpack, but they also put a few weights in the backpack so that I was able to see what it felt like when there was something in it, because it's a lot different from when it's empty to when there's something in it. Another really big name in hiking and outdoor gear is Sale. I don't typically visit Sale as often because there aren't many stores, or any stores really, in my general area, and I would have to drive pretty far out to get to one. And usually it's just a lot easier to go to a Mac or another store and see what they have, but as a last resort I'll usually check the Sale website, or I will check if there's a store that has something that I'm looking for, but I don't typically go unless I really need something, or if I'm in the area. One reason I do tend to check Sales pretty often, even though I don't go in, is because they don't just make things for hiking and outdoor gear, they also make equipment for fishing and hunting, which, while I don't partake in it, the people who fish and hunt spend a pretty substantial amount of time outdoors, so I know that the gear is going to be warm and well made and it's not going to deteriorate. So this one I think is pretty regional because I haven't seen it anywhere else I've been outside of Canada. Would be Sports Expert. I really like the way the store is laid out, that they have everything in specific areas. They do typically do a lot of sports stuff, so hockey, basketball, soccer, that kind of thing, but they do have a pretty great area for hiking and backpacking that is pretty reliable, and they always generally have at least 1 or 2 different types of backpacks or items in stock that you can try or look at and see what the quality is like. And I always pop in there just to see if they've got anything new in, and to see if they've got any sales going on, so I can reassess if I need to replace my backpack while something else is on sale, and so that I'm aware of what new things are coming out, so that I know what accessories to look for or what features to look for when I am ready to buy something new. So the last place generally I'll at least look at is Amazon. I know it's not great, but often they have what I'm looking for at a way lower price, and I can compare different items using Amazon, which I can't always do on the websites of different stores, especially if they don't carry the brands. I usually start on Amazon, build a list, and then go look elsewhere and try and support local businesses here. But if they don't have it in stock, or if they just simply don't sell it, then I will go and check out Amazon and see if I'm able to get it from there. But generally speaking, if I can't find it somewhere else, I'll usually weigh pretty heavily whether or not I actually need it, because if Amazon is the only place that sells it, there may be a pretty good reason for that. It may not be popular in stores, or it may not be something that is necessary to travel with at all. So as I've said multiple times, I use what I have first, then I look at buying new items, used where I'm able to, though most of the time the items aren't available when I need them. So now I'm going to go over really quickly what I pack, just as general information. So what I pack might shock some people because I pack really light. I said in a previous video I usually don't go over 10 pounds, and that's because the backpack gets really heavy, especially if you have to be walking for 1 kilometer or more to get to your hostel once you've left public transportation. So I'm going to read off the list from one of my last trips. 6 shirts, mostly short sleeve because I don't wear long sleeve shirts. Typically they're basic tees with absolutely nothing on them. 3 pairs of long jeans, if I can manage that many. 1 pair of leggings, 1 pair of jogging pants, which I usually sleep in. 1 pair of fancy or work pants, and 2 pairs of shorts. One is usually knee length and the other one is just whatever length I have. I also pack 1 to 2 swimsuits depending on the trip. One of them would be a one piece when I have one, specifically that I use generally for scuba diving, since I find them more comfortable than the 2-piece, especially when I'm trying to pull off the wetsuit. I know that it's not going to go flying, or that I'm going to have to pull both pieces up at any point. I also take a few different types of shoes with me, namely flip-flops, or thongs or jandals, or whatever you happen to call them, used for both the beach and when I take a shower. I also happen to bring at least 1 pair of comfortable walking or running shoes because I walk around a lot. And I'll also usually bring hiking boots that are steel or composite toe so that I can hike in those. And heels because, of course, I bring heels backpacking with me. I'll insert a picture here of what my backpacks looked like when I was in New Zealand. People were like, oh my god, you brought high heels with you? Yes, honey, I brought high heels with me. everywhere I go. As for the rest of my gear, I've got it figured out pretty well that I only bring towels that are quick dry and are lightweight. My current towel is this one from Evolve Travel Goods, which I was part of their Kickstarter 2 years ago almost, and their towel is made from, I believe, recycled water bottles, and it's antibacterial, antimicrobial, and it dries really quick. It's also sand repellent, which is great, especially if you're going to be going to the beach. And this is the design on it. It's pretty flower. It's very nice. I'm not gonna, the hair pretty tight. The camera gear I usually bring with me, at least previously, has been my Canon Rebel T6i and my GoPro, and the gear that goes along with them is including extra lenses, different attachments, extra batteries, and now I've got my microphone for my camera as well. Specifically, I bring them because I do enjoy a lot of nature photography, which the Canon is great for, and I do scuba dive, which the GoPro is obviously fantastic for since I can bring it underwater. The toiletries I bring with me are also pretty minimal. I bring a small collapsible toothbrush, a small tube of toothpaste, or tooth tablets that kind of like the ones that are sold at Lush that you just chew and you can brush your teeth. I also usually bring hand lotion, face cream, dental floss, perfume, and a really small amount of makeup, generally because I don't usually wear it, especially if I'm going to be out somewhere hiking a lot. And usually I bring everything possible solid so that I can take them on the flight with me and not have to worry about not having anything to brush my teeth with if my bag should get lost somewhere. Depending on the length of the trip, I also usually travel with a computer. The last time when I went to Australia, I brought my Surface Pro 3 with me just so that I would be able to write and save pictures, and it's a lot easier than using a small device like a phone, which my camera can't necessarily connect to, and send really high resolution versions of the photos I take. If you're with someone who likes to pack a lot of clothes, or if you need to carry more gear like medical equipment, for example, you'll likely need a larger bag. Currently I have two. One is a school bag style backpack from, I think it's JanSport, which most of you have probably seen a whole bunch of different versions of them. The other one I have, I think they've discontinued it. I'm not 100% sure, but I haven't seen it in stores for a while. My other backpack is the Black Diamond Onyx 65, which I got back in 2013 before I went on my trip to Europe with my school. It's gone on pretty much every trip with me from the time I went to Europe to the time I went through Australia. That backpack's seen me through over 20 countries at this point. As I've mentioned previously, I also have a bag that goes over my backpack to protect the straps. And if you're going to be getting a big bag like that, I always recommend either making sure that the straps can be zipped up or that you have a bag to put your backpack in so that you don't need to worry about not being allowed to send your bag into the checked area, because some people have been denied in the past. Other things to look for in addition to the bag and additional equipment are, the rain covers that go around your bag, good quality locks, RFID wallets or credit card covers to put your credit cards in so that you don't have any of your information stolen, and of course reusable water bottles. Thank you again so much for joining me today. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below in the comments section. You can also connect with me across social media as @AutumnAfar. And remember, be kind even on your bad days. I'll see you next time.